alive and stories of our great state are waiting to be discovered. We are thrilled to have each and every one of you here. I am Ann Riggy. I'm the Chief Development Officer here at the Ohio History Connection. As you step through these doors, you're stepping into a world of discovery and learning, from the ancient American Indian cultures to the pivotal role Ohio played in the Underground Railroad and the Civil War. Our exhibits will transport you through time and provide you with a deeper understanding of our shared heritage. I invite you to take a look around. As you explore, remember that you are not just visitors, you are a community. You are part of a community of individuals who are passionate about preserving and celebrating our collective history. A little bit more about us. So the History Center where you are right now in our recreated 1800s village, Ohio Village right out there, were recently placed on the National Register of Historic Places. That's the national list of places worthy of preservation administered by the National Park Service, and we're pretty proud about that. And last weekend, we had the annual Poindexter Village Drum Circle in the Near East Side, which is a celebration and an event to benefit the development of our newest historic site, Poindexter Village Museum and Cultural Center. One more big project that we've been working on for almost 20 years is the UNESCO World Heritage inscription of the Hopewell ceremonial earthworks. Our folks will be going to Saudi Arabia next month for the final vote for the World Heritage Conference. This includes the Newark earthworks, Fort Ancient, and 5 sites in Chillicothe run by the Park Service. It will be the first and only World Heritage site in Ohio, and we're pretty happy about that. We're very, very excited. And we have an exhibit that was unveiled last year, Indigenous Wonders of Our World, which is right out through these doors that you can take a look and learn a little bit more about the Hopewell ceremonial earthworks. Of course, more information can be found on our website, ohiohistory.org, including how to become a member and how to donate, because we certainly appreciate all of your support. So thank you again for joining us here at the History Center, and may your time be filled with wonder, enlightenment, and a deep appreciation for the stories that have shaped us all. Now I will turn it over to Don DePiero, the President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Ann. Welcome, everyone. Greatly appreciate you all being with us this morning. Welcome to our Columbus Chamber of Commerce's CEO Insights series. We're thrilled to welcome you here today at the Ohio History Connection. And a special thank you to our 2023 CEO Insights partners. You're going to hear from them in just a few moments. We appreciate your continued support of these phenomenal conversations. To launch this morning's program, I'd like to bring up Keith Martinez. Keith is the Columbus office managing partner with Plant Moran, an accounting and professional services firm. Keith.
Thanks, Don. Good morning. Welcome to the Columbus Chamber of Commerce's CEO Insights series. I'm Keith Martinez, Managing Partner of the Columbus office at Plant Moran. We're a long-standing partner of the CEO Insights series. Plant Moran is a full-service CPA and business advisory firm. Locally, we provide assurance, tax, wealth management, and other consulting services. As we close out the summer, we're excited to send the largest intern class we've ever had back to campus, and a couple of them have joined me here today. Earlier this week, we welcomed 18 new full-time hires to help with the growth that we expect. We're very, very optimistic about this market. Today, we're excited to welcome Chad Delligatti, CEO of InnoSource, to our stage here at Ohio History Connection. And as a reminder, we will pick 10 random registrants from today's program to present Crimson Cup coffee and tea gift cards. Thank you to Greg Hubert and his team at Crimson Cup for this generous gift. Be sure to stick around for our closing comments from Pat Cornelius this morning, as he will announce today's winners. I'd now like to welcome Martin Brady, Senior Vice President of First Merchants Bank, to introduce Chad Delligatti. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Did they introduce us?
They did not. It's good to see you.
We can't hear. We're back there talking. And he said, I think we're just going to sit here while you're talking.
Okay, great. This is awesome. Hey, look at that. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Interesting. Welcome both. So good morning. I'm pleased to be with you this morning representing First Merchants Bank. We've been a sponsor of CEO Insights since its inception 10 years ago in 2013. Lots of great speakers over those 10 years. We appreciate our sponsorship with the Chamber. First Merchants has a long history of sponsoring and helping our local communities. The Chamber is helping provide businesses with the resources they need to be successful. First Merchants Bank is also interested in doing the same. We're about helping our communities and our clients prosper. So this has been a great partnership with basically a natural fit. Over the years, we've had the honor of hearing many unique and inspiring stories from our leaders in our community, and that continues today with our guest, Chad Delligatti. Since joining InnoSource in 2000, Chad has served in multiple leadership roles, setting the groundwork for what InnoSource is today, a leading human resource staffing and data agency. InnoSource, headquartered in Dublin, Ohio, specializes in recruiting and management solutions that improve efficiency and service quality for a diverse group of Fortune 500 and mid-sized company. InnoSource employs over 2,000 associates across North America, including many here in Columbus, Ohio. InnoSource partners with clients to deliver unique and highly customized solutions, providing decades of industry know-how and highly qualified associates that contribute to the success of the client business. Chad's an active member of YPO and has served the YPO Columbus chapter as a member of its board of directors from 2013 to 2022, and as its chairman from 2014 to 2015, and again 2019 to 2021. Chad's a member of the Columbus Partnership and supports One Columbus organization and its mission to generate opportunity and capacity for economic growth in the Columbus region. He also served as a member of the Ohio Employment for Seniors Board of Trustees from 2002 to 2005 and as their vice president in 2004. Chad continues to support EFS by promoting employment opportunities for mature adults. The Columbus Chamber of Commerce named Chad to its board of directors, where he served from 2016 to 2021. Chad earned a bachelor's degree in finance from Ohio University and an MBA from the University of Dayton. A Columbus area native, Chad currently resides in Dublin, Ohio, with his wife Adrienne and two children, Giada and Luca. In 2014, Chad's passion for cooking and dining inspired him and his wife to open Dell's Homemade Ice Cream and Coffee in Shawnee Hills, Ohio. Chad supports the Columbus Zoo Education and Access Program, the United Way of Central Ohio, and volunteers his time coaching at DSX Soccer Club. He's a lifelong fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes and Ohio University Bobcats. Please join me in welcoming Colleen Marshall and Chad Delligatti again, who are already with us. Hey, look at that.
We were talking so much back there that we weren't paying attention to what was going on out here. So we kind of crashed the stage. Welcome, everyone. And we're both talkers, so this isn't going to be a problem this morning. I think what I want you to do first, though, is that they talked about you being a Central Ohio native. Tell me about growing up here and where you grew up and what it means to the way you manage now to be really at home.
Thank you, Colleen. And I'd like to get started by just thanking everyone today in attendance. Really appreciate you coming out. Dawn, thank you and your team from the Chamber for all you do for Columbus. And Colleen, thank you for hosting today. And like Colleen said, we're going to have fun up here. We're going to talk a lot, and we're going to make everyone laugh. So to get started, I was born and raised in Bexley, Ohio. I lived in Bexley till 1986. At that point, my family moved to Granville, Ohio. My father still practiced law downtown Columbus, Ohio, but there was another attorney in town that had bought some land out in Granville and said, would you like to come to the countryside? So we moved out to the countryside. We built a home. I have one brother and graduated from Granville in 1995. From there, I was going to play a sport in college, so I was a big soccer player in high school, and I had a few scholarships around the country, and I ended up deciding not to play a college sport and go directly to school and work on my business career. And at that point, went to Ohio University, sight unseen. I was going to play soccer at Miami of Ohio. Ended up going to Ohio University, sight unseen, and had an excellent education. And back to your question about being raised here and staying here, I love the Midwest values. I love Columbus, Ohio. I love the opportunities we have, the explosive growth we're experiencing. but most importantly, the comfort. And I looked all over the country, but I didn't want to leave this area. I felt comfortable here. I liked the people. Went to Ohio University, got a great education. From there, I went to my MBA at the University of Dayton, and then launched my career. So I'm a big fan of Columbus. My family's all here. I've relocated to Dublin. My parents have relocated to Dublin as well, and we love it.
You know, you said launched my career. First of all, you went right into business in your undergrad. A lot of kids that age don't know, oh, what am I going to do? And here you had this opportunity to be a soccer player, and you chose instead to focus on business. How did you know at that age that, you know, business doesn't exactly sound like the sexiest career all the time? How did you know that's what you should be doing?
Great question. So I was a big athlete, but before athletics, I was an entrepreneur. So I had a lawn mowing company I started in the 6th grade in Granville, Ohio, and I mowed about 30 lawns from near Mount Carmel East on McNaughton all the way out to Hebron, Ohio. And so early on, I was always willing to take risks, be an entrepreneur, and I did that with sports. And so I actually was not even able to drive when I started to mow lawns. And so as my career developed, I continued to be an entrepreneur, mowing grass through high school, selling candy in high school, because there was a Gummer wholesale in Newark, and back then we didn't have Sam's Clubs yet, so you couldn't get a box of Blow Pops, but boy, I could sell those for 50 cents each at school all day long. So I was an entrepreneur both at school and lawn mowing and doing my athletics. And as I was getting to college age, I just felt that I wanted to go in business. I wanted to try to have an impact in the community, be an entrepreneur, and soccer at the time was not as popular as it is today. So when you would go to visit schools, the only people that attended the games in the 90s were girlfriends and parents, boyfriends and parents. So I decided that I was going to focus on my career, not do college, and that was due to my experience mowing lawns. And I do have one other thing I want to say. I'm an emotional person, so I apologize. But today's my 20th anniversary, so I want to just thank my wife, Adrian. She's been an amazing woman, and it's a special day for us. So she's not here. I wouldn't let her come because I said I'd get emotional.
I'm looking for her.
She's not here, but I'm an emotional guy. I apologize, but I just want to get that out. It's a special day for us. I wouldn't be the leader I am without her, so thank you.
Yeah, 20 years, that's a nice.
It's a big day.
Yeah, that's a big day.
And I apologize. I'm an emotional person, so apologies.
I'll tell you, you said you graduated from high school in 95.
Yes.
You were with InnoSource by 2000?
Yes.
So come on. How did you go into that kind of a career that quickly?
Great question. So finished undergrad, and like many other people, what was I going to do next? And it was spring of my senior year, and I wasn't sure what to do, so I went to a career fair. And I walked around the Convocation Center, and the University of Dayton was there and said, hey, would you like to come down and do an MBA program? And I got very excited, and I enrolled, and I went straight from OU to a full-time MBA at University of Dayton. And at that time, I met Adrian, my wife. She was getting her MBA, and I got an offer from Lucent Technologies. And so I was going to go work for Lucent Technology in sales in the southern half of Ohio. And ironically, this little company called InnoSource had just started in July of 1999, and the founder of InnoSource originally was one of my lawn mowing clients. So, about 9 months into InnoSource's career,
Make you come and mow his lawn?
No, I still got paid. I hadn't mowed the lawn in a while, but I always got paid. So, and my business partner is Dave Lytle, and that's whose lawn I mowed, and we're still business partners today. He's an amazing person, been a great mentor, and one of the recruiters at InnoSource actually said, hey, this person from Granville is graduating with an MBA. Maybe we should take a look at him. And our chairman's response was, he mows grass. And they said, yeah, but he's an entrepreneur. Give him a shot. So we met at Players Grill. We had lunch. I was going to sign my Lucent offer letter that day, called Lucent, turned it down. Went to Granville that weekend, introduced my future wife to my parents, and my father and my wife said, good with a small company, take off. So I was employee number 4 at InnoSource. I joined about 10 months into the start, and 24 years later, here I am. We have a few thousand employees, and we do business in 34 states across the country.
So what do you think he saw in you? What do you think they saw that they thought, you know, we're going to take a chance on this guy, this young guy?
That's a hard question for me to answer because it's always difficult looking at yourself and seeing, you know, what you're the best at. But I think what he said to me, I remember at the Players Grill, was, look what you've done already. You know, you liked owning your own company, mowing grass. You were an entrepreneur in school. You were an athlete. You know, you go to a big company, it's going to be harder to find your way. We're here, a smaller company, you have a chance to lead it. And that really resonated with me. And one of the things I want to talk about is you got to take risks, right? But don't be dumb with your risks. You got to take the right risks and know where you want to take that risk, be passionate about it. And I'm a people person. I love people. That's what I do. A piece of advice I read years ago from John H. McConnell was, doing business is easy. People make it hard. And that's always stuck with me, but I love working with people. I love dealing with it. But at the end of the day, he got me with the entrepreneurial side and giving a chance to make a difference.
So at that point at the company, you're employee number 4.
Yeah.
How did you envision the business model? How did you, how did you see, okay, we are at point A.
Yes.
I want to get all the way around to point Z.
Yeah.
How did you see the business model at that size?
A couple early things. First off, I decided I needed to be a sponge and absorb and learn a lot because I was young. I just done my MBA, and MBA school was more difficult for me than others because in MBA school, you did projects on your career. Well, I didn't have a career yet, so I had to go study everything to write about it. So I knew early on I had to be a sponge to learn, and I had to be a chameleon to adjust to all the different customers. And at that point, I got in there. I was very driven. I learned a lot the first few years. And cutting right to the chase, I said, so these companies need good people, and it's our job to get them good people. Get out of the way and let's go. And we took off, and from there, my first big goal was to have $1 million revenue month. And we said, how can we have a $1 million revenue month? And that drove me to achieve that goal. And then I thought it was pretty neat. We just calculated in March of this year, we invoiced our billionth dollar.
Wow.
So I thought that was something neat for the team that we've, over our careers, not in one year, I don't want to confuse anyone, but we've, revenue over $1 billion. And my first goal was to achieve $1 million in a month.
But, when you start out and you are new, you're a fledgling company, and you're a young guy walking in the door, how do you go to these Fortune 500 companies, these major employers, and say, I'm the guy you need? Yep. How did you talk your way into that?
It's very difficult early. I really had to deal with my age because back then
How old were you then?
So I would have been 22 because I started June 12th, and I turned July 2nd, 23. And I had completed my MBA, undergrad. And when I was first brought on, I just went up to Cleveland to kind of work in the office. And within 1 week, that leader left due to my age, and I became the leader of that office. So at 23 years old, I was leading a team of only 4 to 5 in Cleveland, going out on client sites. Back then, it was First Merit Bank, Charter One, PNC. I remember our early clients, Roadway. And what I learned is what you tell the client you're going to do, you damn well better do. And that's the biggest thing I said in any meeting is, if you need anything, you call me. But every time they called me, I would step up and deliver what they needed. And I found early in my career, many other people just ran their mouth. They would just talk. They wouldn't back it up. They felt good about what they said, but they didn't put the action behind the words to achieve the results. So early on, I always tried to deliver what I said I would. And it was difficult at times when co-employee spouses would ask how old I was. I danced every which way, and I got through it. So I don't have to hide my age now. I'm a little older. But early on, it was difficult. And I also believe in working very hard. One of the things I say is I'll outwork anyone. But you got to work smart too. Just sitting in the office doesn't do it. You got to make sure you got your task list, you're achieving what you need to. And another great piece of advice I've received, I heard from Les Wexner years ago, was any goal you set, you have to be able to measure it to know if you made it or not. And you think of how many goals we set, and in the end, we want to celebrate, we don't want to celebrate, we're not sure. So anytime we set goals, we make sure they're measurable so that you know at the end, did you hit them or did you not? Did you fail or did you achieve? And then go back to the drawing board and get back after it.
So early on, what kind of promises were you making? Like, we can deliver this many employees, we can do, how were you making these promises when you were such a small company?
Yes, great question. So we would go out, and a lot of times it would be, can you hire these people in this amount of time with this quality and save us money? So the big thing we try to do at InnoSource is not only hire the best people, but we want to bring solutions so that these employers become more efficient to be more competitive, or find a way. Hiring employees is expensive, and there's many costs that just build up year after year after year. So how can we be more efficient in getting them on a timely basis with good quality, making sure they're efficient to get the job done, and then save them some money? So there was really a multiple approach that we had to come back and make sure we could do it. But more importantly, it was knowing the industry and really outperforming and outworking the competition. And then our service offering is very in-depth, because back in 2000 when I started, and still today, employees are very important to companies, and you got to hear them. You got to know their voice. You got to know what they want, what's important in work, what's important in their life, and that's something that we have to learn from every client company we work with. And our culture at InnoSource is very important. We really try to work on it. We build it. We ask every employee to contribute back, because I'll set the tone at the top, although we have an upside-down org chart, so I'm really at the bottom. But at the end of the day, the culture's only as good as what they contribute. So then when we go to each client, we got to worry about what's their culture and matching that up, and we could do it every time.
Don't skip over that. What do you mean you have a upside-down work chart? Because I can tell you, every company I've been with, there are people up here, and then we're down here.
So I'm a big believer in servant leadership. My job at the end of the day is to be there to support all of my employees, all of our customers, and everyone in the community. I'm an equal to everyone. I'm not on the top. When I walk around the office every day, I'll talk to anyone. They can come in and talk to me. So we believe in the upside-down organizational chart. With our clients are all at the top. Our associates in the field are right below them. Then our entry-level staff all the way down to our executive team. And then the other neat thing we do is we have pillars within our organizational chart. And those are like, when you think of your home and your foundation of your home, those are our other people in the crowd today, thank you. There's some of you out there that support our business day in and day out in order for me to do my job and give that support to the rest of the organization.
How does the workforce that you are working with and dealing with today compare to the workforce in 2000?
Great question. So it's changing every day, and I wish I had a magic ball or a crystal ball that I could tell you, but it's much different than it was. You know, I'll go back to just when I started, from the dress code to the in the office every day, to it was the big deal. Who was the last one to leave the office every day? Remember? I mean, you would sit there as late as you could and get there as early as you could. You know, I was always a huge shine shoes, firm handshake, eye contact. And then, you know, as times went and COVID hit, you know, we're finding out, what is this new normal? And then the other thing I just learned this year is, it's the first time as leaders we're having to be multi-generational, because traditionally leaders led 3 generations, and now they're leading 4 different generations, from Z to X to baby boomers to Ys, and they all have different needs and expectations. So what I will say is, I feel this last year has been the most difficult year for me to lead in 24 years. I thought it would be getting easier. It's not.
But why is that?
Yeah. It's due to what I'm going to say, the ever-changing landscape of the business community and the evolution of human beings changing all the time. And it's accommodating those needs so that those people can still be there for their families, yet give to the company the most they can. So I think it's just an ever-changing landscape of the world, and not getting into too many specifics, but it's the balance of flexibility with the increased pay rates. You know, we're still a big believer in benefits, but we're also a big believer in culture, and that's been difficult these last 3 years, because when you have employees all over the country working from home now and not coming to the office, it's hard to get that culture into their homes. And so we've really worked hard on finding ways to still grow our culture in this new environment, as well as, I'm a big believer in industry by industry, sector by sector, you have to decide how flexible you can be. And so when you decide how flexible you can be, then you can tie into those needs of those employees to try to do that.
So what did the pandemic do to your business?
So,
I can't even imagine.
Flipped us upside down. So we were hosting an Ohio State-Indiana basketball game. Bobby Knight was on center court at halftime. I think the next day the governor came out with the orders. From that Thursday, Friday till Monday, we took over 3,000 employees remote across the country. Within the first 30 days, we took 30% on the chin down. And then we did have that V-shaped recovery. So fortunately, our IT team and data solutions group were phenomenal. They got everyone remote. We did not have one day down, and we took all of our associates across the country with our client companies and worked with them on technology and really disrupted us hard. But from there, the team stuck together. Our HR team worked very hard on getting that remote culture in place. And then one of the biggest things we've done before that and still do is once a month, the second Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a State of the Union call with the whole country for all the employees. And I start the call, we kind of review who we are, what we do. I then hand it off to HR, they give a tip. Then we have an operational leader get on that gives an update across the country of what's going on. And we feel this has been a great communication tool while we've had to adjust to the new norms to still keep in touch and keep in contact.
So what trends are you seeing? Because we all hear this speculation, we're going to be a work-at-home culture now, that too many people do not want to go back to the office. And some employers are insisting that people do come back to the office, and people who are being ordered back to the office say, I'm going to go get another job. I mean, how is this remote work environment impacting what you do as well as your clients? What are the trends you're seeing with your clients?
So we're seeing a lot. We're seeing a lot of data. We at InnoSource support many, many different companies that are all in different industries. And the best answer I can give on what we've seen with the data in front of us is every leader needs to look at their industry, their company, and what their clients and the results need to be and make the best decision on the remote or not. We at InnoSource are in the service industry. We're here to serve our customers, get them great results, and be there when they need us. So we need to get back to the office a little bit. However, flexibility is in the workforce now, and it's not going away. It's very important. So I think leaders, CEOs, need to really look at their workforce, look at their customers, and find that fine balance. But I don't see the flexibility going away permanently. I think it needs to stay. But I think industry by industry, sector by sector, certain pockets are going to have to get back to work. We saw Steve at Huntington just say they want to get them back. At Huntington, I saw Zooms coming back. We at InnoSource on July 10th came back 4 days, 1 day still flexible, so we're working with our team. But I do see the trend coming back to work more, just as we get more and more competitive and back to it. But I also think keeping that flexibility is important, but I think it's sector by sector, industry by industry. And we saw some industries really do well, get better, have better culture, higher morale. Other industries got a little inefficient where they had to overhire because they didn't have the ability to learn from each other and train as much. So I think now what we're seeing is that balance coming back where those that were inefficient are getting efficient, getting people back, getting them trained, and those that are doing well, they're going to stay remote and they're going to keep growing remote.
You know, I happened to be at my big old Irish Catholic family reunion over the weekend, and I was talking to one of my cousins in Cleveland who does hiring, and she was telling me, young people don't want to work anymore. She said, people don't want to work. She said, we've had people accept a job and never show up. She said, I can't, it's been very, very challenging. Are you experiencing that? And I hate to paint young people with that broad brush, but you hear it a lot from employers.
So I'm a promoter, I'm a cheerleader. So I have to take the other side of that these young people will work, they do want to work, and we'll find a way to it. But yes, we're experiencing that too. The number of no-shows, maybe day one to a job or 2 weeks in, just decide, I just don't like this, I don't want to work, I'm going to go back home. But I think we're getting out of that. And I think what we have to find is what motivates them to work. It's not the same environment we started our careers in. So how do we kickstart them? How do we jumpstart them, get them in and get them going? But our job at InnoSource in the human resources, staffing, data, IT sectors we've got to be a Kickstarter to that. So we've got to find a way to get them going. And one of the things we're starting to do that more information will be coming out, is we're going to get in the upskilling side of things. And when you hear employers talk in Columbus, one of the things we're worrying about due to this explosive growth with Intel, Honda, the medical tech sectors, IT, is the skills gap, right? Where are we going to get these people and these skills? And there was a local university that just had an announcement this week that was really exciting, but we're going to go in and we're going to find these pockets of people that want to work but don't have the ability to, or don't have the skills yet. And we're going to bring them in, we're going to train them, we're going to give them the skills, and then we're going to get them full-time jobs and send them out there. So I think that the theory that the younger people do not want to work is one we need to change. They do want to work. We just have to find a way that we embrace them and motivate them to come to work to do it or work remote.
We hear a lot about the skills gap, and certainly that's something the governor and John Husted have been talking about, that the Ohio workforce is going to be ready. We're going to meet the demands of these employers. Are we going to meet the demands of these employers? And what skills is everyone lacking?
Yeah. So One Columbus, Kenny and his team are doing so well. They're growing us so fast, we're trying to keep up with the skills gap. So that's a compliment to Columbus and everything that's going on. But I do think we'll achieve it. I think it's pocket by pocket where we're struggling more. I think other areas there are plenty of people out there skilled. It's just identifying, recruiting them, and bringing them back. The Lieutenant Governor, Dr. Harrison, have been amazing with what they're doing, and some other universities are now starting to lean in. So I think Columbus as a community has a chance if all of our leaders and our academic institutions lean in together. I think we can solve this, but I don't think, Colleen, it's all at the top or all at the bottom. When we talk about the skills gap, it's from entry-level, non-educated, all the way up to these engineers, IT, that are very talented, very educated. So we've got to worry about the skills gap from A to Z, and that's where I think if everyone leans in, we will do it. I think we can do it, but we've got a lot of work ahead.
But specifically, what skills? Like, what is it? The high schools that are failing these kids? I mean, what skills do they have to embrace and conquer to make this workforce attractive to outside employers? How do you sell Central Ohio when we know that there is this skills gap?
So I'm going to go all the way to early childhood education. So Future Ready now has Mario in town, and I'm a big believer that one of the things we've identified is some of our public schools, our children are not coming into kindergarten where they need to be at the right reading level and ready. So first, we got to start with the root cause. And I'm very excited for Mario and Future Ready, and he's going to work on pulling some other groups together as one. So I think if we can start at the early young ages and at least get maybe where 20% are coming in with the right reading level today, and in 5 years flipping that to 80%. Then from there, as you get to the high schools and the colleges, and you said, what attracts them, or how do we get them to our workforce? Well, remember, we still are kind of sexy that although we're growing quick and the cost of housing in the Midwest is growing rapidly, we're still a little bit of a Goldilocks here. You know, you can still find the right community. You still have a reasonable commute time. Our wages have inflated quite a bit. So, you know, they're trying to catch up with the housing prices. So I think what we can do is how do we, when we lose our high school graduates or college graduates to another city or state, we need to be good at bringing them back and selling that Columbus Midwest feel. I also think employers need to show off our stuff. I mean, we got a lot of stuff to show off in Columbus with this growth, with what One Columbus is doing, the IT sector, the data centers, what we see. So I think, once again, if we lean in, we talk about the advantages we have over the big city, commute time, cost of real estate, and then everyone's nice. Everyone's nice in the Midwest. So I like that.
You know, I hesitate to get political, but during the recent issue, I'm going to do it anyway. During the Issue 1 campaign, I interviewed a lot of political figures on both sides. And the people who were adamantly opposed to Issue 1, one of the things they said was, you know, as well as the upcoming reproductive right vote, we're not going to be able to attract young people, especially women, educated young women, to Ohio if we have these restrictions in place. We are not going to be an attractive environment for young people. And we've heard about the brain drain when our kids, you know, graduate and move. You know, my daughter's in Nashville. So I I wonder if the political environment is something that really does play into the employment picture.
I'm hearing that as well, and I was in the fall at a board meeting or out of town, and 2 to 3 different members did bring up that they had female daughters going to college, and they were worried they might leave the state over that issue. I am with you. I don't like to talk politics either. I like to stay very neutral.
Oh, I love to talk politics.
Well, I try to stay neutral publicly. But at the end of the day, I think Ohio's handling this well. I think if we continue to talk about it and make the right decisions to put our state in the right spot, because we want males and females in our state, and we don't want to lose any females to another state due to something like this. So what I've been impressed with is I've had multiple breakfasts and lunches with both sides of the aisle, and they're very passionate about issue 1, tying back to the reproductive rights. But I think what's neat is it's not a one side on issue 1, it's everyone collectively working on it together. So I do think it's something hopefully Ohio will figure out, because we don't, with this explosive growth, want to have something like that that would put us at a disadvantage of losing great people over something that's not tied to the business community.
Right, but it could impact the
Could
business.
impact it, though,
Yeah.
greatly, yes.
Yeah, so how would you describe you're clearly upbeat.
Yes.
How would you describe your management style?
So I'm very energetic. I like to motivate people. I like to do the work with them. But I'm also very hands-off. I would say I'm not a micromanager at all. I believe in kind of setting the tone, setting the culture, getting good results, and most importantly, hiring great people. You can have a great culture, but you got to hire great people. And if I hire great people around me, they drive me to be better. And what I always say is, I want to hire someone in each role better than me, not less than me, not the same, better. And if they're better than me, they're going to drive me. And that's one of the things I constantly try to do. I'm also a big believer in giving them their distance, but also showing them. We had a business coach that passed away about 5-6 years ago, and one of the things they would always say to us is, you have to show them how to do it. You can't just tell someone how to do the job or tell them what to do. Sometimes they don't understand that, so you physically do the work with them and show them. So I'm a big believer as a leader in showing people how to do it, being there for them. I have an open door policy, so of our thousands of people across the country, anyone can call me anytime, and I really believe just being transparent, being open, and holding yourself to your values.
So I'm sure we have people in here who do hiring in this room. So walk them through what you do. You say, I hire the best people.
Yeah.
Well, how do you hire the best people? How do you?
Great question.
You're competing in a market where everybody's trying to hire the best people.
Yeah.
So how do you hone in on someone and know this person fits into my company, my culture?
Yep. First, you have to have great clients with great culture that believe in doing the right thing for their associates. Because if you don't have the right clients with the right culture, you hire great people, they're not going to make it through training, they're not going to like the culture, they're going to leave. But once we have great clients, which we do, they're all phenomenal, then we really have to have an in-depth process that you care about and you go through and you take your time. So we have multiple recruiting channels. And when I say recruiting channels, we don't depend on just one. We have multiple recruiting channels. So anytime we work, we have a dedicated recruiting team for that account. They'll go out, they'll get the recruiting channels going. From there, we interview and talk to every person. We have some AI chatbots. We're getting into that a little bit, but we don't want to take the live interface away, because at the end of the day, the human element's what's important in jobs. So we're trying to, on the front end, maybe do a little automation with the chatbots, but from there, we do all our interviewing. We do a lot of behavioral interviewing. We do a lot of skills testing. From there, we always challenge our recruiters. If you were the leader at that company, would you have them work for you or not? And then we have a lot of our incentives with our recruiting team tied to performance. Because if we hire great people, but they leave, we lose and the customer lose. So we have to have our whole economic engine built around performance of the people we're hiring. And then we have to have a process that we're not just going through and identifying 10 of the best 12, but who truly has the behavioral, the character, and the technical skills to perform that job. And we do a lot of benchmarking. So that's something where we're very fortunate.
So you say you have great clients and you care about the culture that you're hiring people into. Have you ever had to break up with a client?
We have, unfortunately. We've had to
Name them and tell us all the details.
Who's out of business now? So no, we have had to get rid of some clients before, and we always do it very professional, but sometimes we find they're just not treating the associates the right way. Sometimes they're taking advantage of us. Sometimes they're using our services for an ulterior motive. We don't like that. But we've had to get rid of a few customers over the years, but we really like to grow with our customers. We like for them to think of us as an extension to their talent acquisition in HR. And then we've had a lot of fun the last 3 years doing data warehousing and a lot of dashboard reporting with our data solutions group too.
So how is AI going to change business, do you think? We hear all the horror stories, and people are concerned about where it's going. I mean, look, the writer's strike is still underway because there's a belief that AI can write, and there are news anchors who are being created to possibly, it's a good thing I'm old. I won't live long enough to see that, but it's on the way, isn't it?
So I think it is something scary, and I think we all need to be aware of what's going on, and I hope our leaders, not private sector, but our public sector leaders, do lean in and make the right decisions to protect all of us, because, you know, when you think of Facebook, Facebook was originally created for all positive, and it did a lot of that. But unfortunately, now you read stories and you hear that more negatives coming out of Facebook than positive. So how can this new generation at Ohio State, Ohio University, Harvard, create the new social media or new Facebook or control AI so that it impacts us and the global economy to be very competitive, but doesn't crush our country and crush our jobs? So we're being very cautious with it. We're not moving quick. We want to be kind of in the middle, and we believe the human element in HR will never go away. I'm a firm believer in that, but I do believe our industry will be impacted 20 to 30% on the front end. And just like the remote virtual workforce, I think AI, you have to look at your industry. You have to look at what you're doing and where can AI make you more efficient but not lose the human touch that at the end of the day will sacrifice some of your results and services to your clients.
Yeah, because in some ways, I envision a time when my AI will be talking to your AI, and businesses there won't be any people involved in what's happening. And
I hope we don't get there,
but you know, that's the nightmare scenario that you see.
Yes.
So you started at this company around in 2000 when you joined them. Even back then, everything wasn't digital. Everything wasn't computerized. How has that changed in your industry? Because I can't imagine doing what you do now without relying on computers. How did you do it differently?
So early on, Friday afternoon by 12 o'clock was the biggest decision on classified ads. So my first 4 years between the Akron Beacon-Journal, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, the Pittsburgh Post, the Columbus Dispatch, the Newark Advocate, those were where we had to run our ads. And we had to have a creative writer because a recruiter would write the ad and there might be a typo. And they were very expensive relatively at the time. So early on with technology, it was getting a website just to say you had one, but we did all of our recruiting channels through classified advertising. And so Mondays and Fridays were huge days because Mondays you're all on the phone because you missed those calls, you lost a candidate, and Friday you had to prepare for those ads for the next week. And then all of a sudden this monster and career builder showed up, but boy, oh boy, were they expensive. So early on we would partner with a few other companies. I remember the lady's name, Darylyn, and we partnered, and she would get a huge monster license, and we'd each get access to one. So you were getting going in there, and it was pretty good. And then all of a sudden, those job boards were all polluted because there was millions and millions of candidates, but not all of them were really looking for jobs or not. And then the aggregators came, right? The Indeeds and all these other ones. And so now what we found is technology is the #1 recruiting resource. Since COVID, if you had your spend has really changed, where maybe before you would hire more and more and more and more recruiters when you got very busy, to now we're learning it's more and more spend on these aggregate job boards because they do a lot of that work for you. So I would say the technology spend is much greater. Thank goodness we have it, especially going across the country now, and it's totally changed our industry.
You have to have an entire IT division to stay on top of all this then.
We have a phenomenal IT division. I'm very proud of them. We have an internal IT team, we have an external IT team, and then we have a whole data solutions group. And they have been instrumental to our company, and yeah, the last 8 years, if we didn't do that, we would be falling behind.
You know, my son is an attorney here in town, and his office now, they are back at the office, but it's always like casual Friday. They get to, you know, there was a time when everybody was buttoned up, and you wouldn't go into a law office without seeing all the men in a suit, all the men with a tie. That doesn't happen anymore. So how important is the culture, that environment, to the people that you're hiring? Do they look for, I want to be relaxed, I don't want to have to dress up, or does that even play into the workforce?
Yes. And I had a debate this morning. I always wear a suit and tie, and I decided, no, I'm going to go a little more casual. It's the new world. So, yes, I'm old school, so it shocks me every day. How about these Michael Jordan shoes? I'm at the office every day. Everyone has Jordans on now. So occasionally I'll throw on Michael Jordan shoes with my suit. But it's very important. And what we're trying to do is when we're interviewing, we try to find that out, what's important to them. And we're finding some people still want to get back to the office and have a little bit more of that formality. But a majority like the flexibility, want jeans Friday, and then when it's business casual, it's still much more casual than when we used to do it. So I think it's very important. I think the younger generation, as you asked earlier, that is a critical component, and we must tie that in. But I'm the old school person, so it's a hard time for me. And just a couple weeks ago, I went to work, and I'm like, why does everyone have jeans on? What's? And I just decided it's not a battle you're going to fight because you're not going to win. So go back to your office, sit down, and let them wear jeans and Jordans, and that's what I did. So something else we've done recently as we brought people back to the office, we're noticing they don't communicate as much as they used to. They go hide in pockets around the office. So you get 2 here, 2 here, 2 there. And I'm a big believer in the more they talk, the more they're going to learn from each other. So we have the last 3 weeks have done pop-up lunches where they don't expect them, and I'll go in the cafeteria, and I've cooked 88 quesadillas. I've cooked 120 BLTs. And then what was the other one? Grilled cheeses with tomato, bacon, and avocado. And what we found is they come in, they open up a little more, they talk, but they have to order the food. So it's been an interesting exercise getting them out of kind of their corners and getting them talking and
Some of that, though, don't you think it's technology-based? Because
Sure.
what my kids they text me, and it's like, they'll ask me a question that involves a long answer, and it's like, do I have to sit here and do this? And I'll finally just say, can you just call me?
Yes.
And it's like, why? Why would I call you? So that I can speak to you instead of, it just drives me crazy.
Thank you.
So how much is the technology changing everything?
I think a ton.
And and including the communication skills.
Communication and the efficiency. When you walk around the office and you see them looking at their phone, how are they doing business or are they doing personal? So I think eye contact is a lost art. I think having a good dialogue is a lost art. And it's all because of this technology growing so quickly. And someone else said, I love this quote from the 80s, technology will never move as slow as it does today in the future. So you see that, and they're connected to it. So our jobs as leader is what's that fine line in allowing them to stay in that technology when it's benefiting them in the company versus where do you need to pull them out of them to keep those social skills, and where are we going to be in the future with the AI? But our children at home, the same issue. You talk to them, and they can't get their head out of their phones. So we almost have to say, put your phone down for a couple hours. Let's talk. Let's get through it. But yeah, with this ever-changing technology coming, people are becoming, I feel, more and more addicted to those devices.
Does part of your recruiting process, you mentioned behavioral testing that you do, does it involve communication skills? Does it involve social skills?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And we do some role-playing through those. So that's where in the new normal, as we went to the virtual, we're big users of Microsoft Teams, that you still have to go through that. Because if you do a whole interview through AI and technology, you're not going to know how well they communicate. And at the end of the day, InnoSource focuses on customer interfacing work a majority, which means our people need to be good at talking. And what we wanted a customer is when one of our associates gets that silver award from the customer service department for giving great service, but that's because we hired the right person. So yes, Colleen, in the interviews, it's very important. We want that eye contact. We want that good communication skill while still making sure they can deal with the technology. Because some of these associates, entry level, are dealing with 3 screens nowadays. I don't even have 3 screens. I still have 1. But they have 3 screens. And that's difficult to do, from the multitasking to the chat to the phones. So very important communication skills still. And we look at those in the process through the behavioral and just the live interview.
I always wonder how careers impact the way people are at home. Do you parent like a boss or boss like a parent?
So I think I've changed since 2020, I mean, not 2000, 2020. So my wife would always yell at me, don't come home and act like work. So I've consciously worked on it. So I actually think I parent more at work now, where I used to boss more at home. But that's a great question. And I do like kind of separating from work on the way home. So I think it's good to have a 10, 20-minute drive, kind of detach, make your final calls, unwind. Our children are in 8th and 9th grade now, and I just didn't realize how busy they get. And these school events are all at 3:30, 4 o'clock. So it's been very difficult managing that, but I'm a family first guy. It's something important in our office, that family's always first, work is second, but it's a close second. No. But yes, I work on not taking work home and not treating my children or any of my family members, in my work boss and personality.
But do you find yourself, so your kids are now in that teenage area, do you find yourself worrying about, do they have the right skills? Do they have the right social skills? Are you lecturing them?
Yes.
Like I'm always with my kids. My kids are in their 30s. Put your phone down at the table. It's rude.
So I'm panicked they're going to be failures. I think they're soft. I think they need to have better communication skills. I think they need to work harder, and I think they need to study more. My wife every time says, they're good kids, back off of them, calm down. Saturday night, we went to the Morgan Wallen concert, and we had friends from Cleveland that came down, and he's a urologist. And they got there, and when we were having dinner, we were laughing, and his wife, Elizabeth, was saying how hard he was on the kids, and we kind of connected. So I think probably I'm being a little too hard, but yes, Colleen, I'm very worried. And they're stuck in that damn phone too much. Mm-hmm. They're on those damn games, and they need to talk. They need to do more. They need to go outside and play. And I think the technology is important. They need to have it. But at the end of the day, they need to be well-rounded. So I do get a little worried. I do push them, but Adrian constantly tells me, calm down. They're great kids. Don't drive them too hard.
Yeah, that's good advice, but it's hard to follow. Well, we are almost out of time, but I do want to ask you, if you were giving advice to not just your potential clients, but to employers about how to build the kind of culture you've been talking about, that bottom-up culture where you feel like you're supporting your employees instead of looking down on them, what's your best piece of advice?
So what I did from day one, and the best advice I can give, is be true to who you are. Be yourself. Too many people are fake. I see it all the time. You go into a meeting, you meet someone new, and they're trying to be this person they want to be or who they think they need to be. And they get lost because it's not who they are. And then you catch them another time and they're different. And what I found is, if you just speak from the heart, you do what you say you're going to do, you believe in your values, you believe in your family, you don't lie, you don't cheat, you don't steal, you'll be freaking successful. I'll guarantee it. Now, what I always say is, look in the mirror and see reality. I've said this for 24 years, and I'm going to say it again. You're in college. It's finals week. You're staying in all week. You didn't study. You sat in your apartment all week because you knew you can't go out because it's finals week. That's not being true to yourself. Look in the mirror. If you're going to stay in finals week, you study all week and you go kick ass and you get an A. But you got to be true to yourself. So wake up each day. Set your task list. Set that list for what you know you have to accomplish that day. Don't let it drag for 3 weeks. It's going to bog you down. When you look in the mirror, see reality. Don't see fakeness. Be yourself. And then I'm a big believer as a leader, set the tone. We at InnoSource have the NOA. We do it right. We be the best. Customer service, work hard, play hard, and you got to be passionate about what you do every day. And if I lead with those 5 principles and all of our associates believe in them and exemplify them every day, we will continue to be successful and we'll be competitive. So lead from your heart. Don't be fake. Hold yourself accountable. And what you say you're going to do, you do. And love your loved ones. And remember, you're only as good as the people around you, and tell them thank you for supporting you.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Colleen.
And thank you for doing this. Don?
Well, I'm not sure I can really follow that, but I'll give it a shot. So hello, everyone. I'm wearing a tie, so you already know I'm an attorney. But thank you, Colleen and Chad. Work, what it looks like, workforce development, those are all critical ideas and concerns going forward. And your conversation has given us a lot to think about. I'm Pat Cornelius, a partner at Barnes & Thornburg, and we are a long-standing partner of the CEO Insight Series. Barnes & Thornburg is a full-service law firm. We serve clients across a broad range of industries throughout Central Ohio, the country, and internationally. We're growing, and we're excited to continue growing with Columbus as it's increasingly recognized as what it is, a world-class city. It's wonderful to see so many faces today, and hopefully you all got that first day of that first day of school picture, if that's your kids today. And now what you've all been waiting for, the winners of the Crimson Cup coffee. So they are, and I think the drawing was relatively kind on the name, so hopefully I won't butcher anything too bad. Mac Joseph, Natalie Schaefer, Deshandra Shehi, Ethan Peterson, Becca Roner, Jessica Stewart, Scott McEnaugh, and Michael Heller. Please be sure to stop by the registration tables. Yep. Stop by the tables to to claim your gift. And thanks again to Greg Ubert and the Crimson Cup team for his continued support of the CEO Insights series. So thank you, everyone, and have a great day.